We're live. I don't know what to do. It's like, you know,
was you be like, we're live, coming from you from our parents' basements. It's Total Spotfest.
There's only one of us that's in a basement. To be fair, so.
And I am the parent, so I guess.
Yeah. I guess it's not wrong. So, hello and welcome, hello. This is Total Spotfest. I'm JJ. That's Jamie. Austin is back with us. Give a big shout out to Miss Heidi Howitzer. We got the medical update there. She's recovering from a broken foot, but husbandly duties have been pushed aside, and you have joined the degenerate fans of wrestling to sit here and delight the internet with your ramblings.
Yeah, she moved on from splint to full on boot. So like, I don't gotta do as much.
Well,
das Boot.
So before we get going, is there any way the fans can support her while she is on the IR?
I know she was talking about getting a big cartel set up with some merch. So TBD, but likely soon. She'll be off her feet for about the next 7 weeks or so. And then from there, it just kind of depends on when the ankle's good to go. But yeah, she'll be out for at least the next few months.
I'll give her plenty of time to set up one of them online stores things. So
yeah. Buy her merch, peeps, as soon as it becomes available. Support Heidi and support our good friend Austin Reddick.
Yes,
he's wearing a great shirt right now.
Fantastic shirt. A gift we have made for him there. Coming to a venue near you soon-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe.
She sells enough merch. Buy my shirt. I don't even make money off of it, but just buy it.
Look at how good that looks there, man. That is fan. I don't want to my own horn, but pretty damn good job.
Right? This is a great shirt,
right? Toot motherfucker. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We do appreciate you guys giving us some of your time. If this is your first time here, please feel free to come back and join us every Wednesday at 9:30-ish Central Standard Time. If you want to know when that is, don't worry about it. Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the little bell icon. You get to notice when we go live. Jamie is in, and we're going to try to keep Jamie on path, because Jamie is about 18 hours away from hopping on a plane and getting the F out of the Midwest and onto a giant boat in the Caribbean. So checkout mode has been activated.
Well, and to be fair, keeping me on task when we're doing these is an arduous task as it is.
Big ask.
Yeah. It's like asking Hulk Hogan to put somebody over. You know, good luck, brother.
Asking the Miz to catch somebody. While we're on that topic, we literally just 10 minutes ago remembered that we did not do a picks for SummerSlam like we should have. So nobody had a chance to wrestle away the title from the tyrant, Megan Faulkner. So we'll have to wait till All In, but at All In, it will be on. But SummerSlam was this past weekend, gentlemen. I know I watched. I had a watch party with some guys. What'd you think of SummerSlam?
So going back to the picks really quick. I'll ask either of you, because for me, there's not a single one I saw going the other way. Is there any match between the two of y'all that y'all might have picked wrong?
I might have picked Bailey. That's probably
So
the only one that I would have on.
So I would have picked Bailey with Tiff cashing in.
That's where my money was.
For SmackDown. If it wasn't for the SmackDown about how her and I acted, I'm like, yeah. But other than that, like, I was a little upset when we get into it, but there was one match I felt it was 3 minutes too long.
Okay, well, let's just get into it then.
Yeah, okay. Let's jump right into it.
Which match are you talking about?
Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn.
Exactly.
That should have been the ultimate squash match of squash matches.
3 minutes too long. That match was like 6 minutes too short.
What? I mean, it was a solid 5-6 minutes, just for those of you who might not have watched SummerSlam, live. Yeah.
I thought it should have been all Mr. Perfect versus Goldberg for the U.S. title. Like, I wanted that. Like, bounce off, spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Like, I wanted it just to be that convincing and that dominating, because the way that they're building Braun Breaker right now is actually beautiful. But I felt Sammy is kind of booked as Sammy Hogan. Like, and people talk about it all the time, and I agree. So, he had to get a little offense in there. I'm like, no, they should have just buried him, because then they could build it up for him and those two go against each other. Survivor Series, something like that. Like, man, then you get the epic battle, but you still have Braun Steiner coming out on top.
Yeah, Heather said that was Sammy's first SummerSlam match. Which
they announced it during the show, which was wild because he's been there forever.
That's insane.
I know.
Here's why the Braun squash absolutely doesn't work.
Okay.
Although it would have been better to either do a squash or a longer match. Keeping it to 6 minutes when you have an 8-hour-long show, granted half that was pre-show, with only 7 matches. The Braun squash would have been great if Sammy didn't just beat Braun clean last month at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird to go from that to just a squash a few months, like 6 weeks later, not even, like 4 weeks later.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. But I think if they would have kept them apart and then just had Braun squash him at SummerSlam, absolutely. But, like, you just had Sammy beat the guy. So it'd be kind of weird for him to just kill him in 30 seconds.
Well, I was going with the WWE trope that they forget about matches that happened in the past.
But they even worked the Money in the Bank loss into the story.
I know.
Which is a rarity.
Which is a rarity.
That's actually where I was going to go next, Heather. So, Judgment Day crumbling. So the show opened with Rhea Liv, which I was excited to see them get just right off the bat, because that's one I was really pumped for. That's the storyline I like the most in WWE right now. And while somewhat predictable the way they did it, or the results of how it happened, it still was fantastic. Seeing Dirty Dom turn his back on Mama. Big smooch with Liv. Mommy. Mama's a little something different. Big smooch with Liv afterwards. I thought that was fantastic. Obviously setting her up for a giant face run, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't need Judgment Day to be the big face. It's better if she's not in Judgment Day.
And it was just time to move on from the current incarnation of Judgment Day anyway. They've been doing that for over a year. Like,
yeah,
it was time. I had a reoccurring theme throughout SummerSlam where the end result,
supposed to, Heather. It's supposed to make your teeth
storyline-wise.
For those of you listening, Heather in our chat said that Liz is calling Dom Daddy now, and it makes her teeth hurt. And I'm like, it's supposed to.
But yeah, like throughout SummerSlam, it seemed like almost every result it was, that's the right call. Like, storyline wise, I like where you went. I don't like how you got there. My issue with this was you knew Dom was turning, which is that's where the story needed to go. And like, it can be predictable and still be good. they drew out the overbooked nonsense at the end a little too much. Liv was kind of standing there awkwardly with the chair for like 45 seconds, like not knowing what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Rhea about to hit Liv with the chair. Like, if Dom just wants Liv to keep the title, let Rhea get a whack in and then stop her, and then Liv just wins by a DQ. Like, a lot of it at the end, it just seemed like a little more than you needed. But that being said, like, I thought as a whole, the show, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Like, perfectly enjoyable night of pro wrestling. Wish there would have been a tag team match on there, but you can't win them all. But yeah, it was cool to see him open with Liv and Rhea, though.
You can't win them all. You had 4 title changes, including so Gunther getting his first world title, which was thank you. We already talked. Liv changed hands. Bailey, like you said, Bailey will drop the title to Nia Jax. So I think this is her first world title, women's world, right? She's been tag champ before, but not.
Did she win it when she was feuding with Alexa?
I don't think so.
Because wasn't Alexa calling her fat? Then she beat Alexa at Mania.
Maybe.
Like I feel like I remember. I mean, that was in the 4 or 5 years where every WWE pay-per-view was exactly the same, and it just kind of got lost on me. But
yeah,
I thought,
that's why I don't know for sure the answer. Maybe I think she might have won like the SmackDown or one of those.
Yeah,
once.
I thought she won one of the main titles from Alexa Bliss, but
okay.
I could be mistaken on that.
Well, regardless, so she beat Bailey. So you had 4 title changes. Very uncharacteristic. I mean, but hey, I enjoy that. SummerSlam seems to be WrestleMania is the big spectacle. SummerSlam's the big, page turner for stories, Jamie.
Yeah. So page turner
for storylines. Chapter,
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing with SummerSlam, it was so obvious it hurt, though.
Well, yeah.
Like, we knew Dom was turning. We knew that Finn was turning. Like, we knew Judgment Day was going to do its thing. Like, we knew that was happening. Megan was playing softball Saturday. So literally we had this thing called Midnight Madness. So Friday night, her very first game was at 11. Her next game was at 1 a.m. and her last game was at 4:20 a.m. Saturday morning. So we slept most of the day, and then she had another game at 11 o'clock the next night.
Ooh.
Or at 8 o'clock. So we missed most of the beginning. Like, we were watching on the way in, and then we got to watch the main event on the way home. And her and I were arguing who was going to be the one to show up for that one. Was it going to be Roman, or was it going to be Jimmy? And I said, it's got to be Roman, because Roman's going to bring back the original Bloodline. You got Bloodline versus Bloodline. Like, you're going to bring it all back together.
For War
and
Games.
It's going to be an epic blow-off at WrestleMania. Perfect. Because this iteration, other than Fatu, is god-awful. I'm sorry.
I never would have put money on Jamie saying that about anything involving Guerrillas of Destiny 6 months ago. Just saying.
I mean,
it's not good. You're not wrong.
Tama's great.
They're good, but
Tama's great.
Yeah, Fatu
is amazing, but Tama's brother,
Tonga Leo,
you could tell who carried the Gorillas. Okay, but it's very obvious in WWE. But anyway, no, I thought that was really good. I think, and then this past Monday was actually not that bad of a setup either. I'm glad that CM Punk lost, but CM Punk screwed CM Punk, which is like the best thing ever that they could have done there. Like, no, there's lots of good things. SummerSlam overall, guys, I enjoyed it.
The CM Punk match ended up being, and I had criticized it last week, I think, going into it. Or maybe it was the week before, I don't remember. But, I know it's like when Austin was pulling some logic out about the ridiculousness of the don't touch each otherness, you can't touch each other, even though they just got into a big fight and throws him in the ambulance, bloody, whatever, right? I was just like, they got a whole lot of nothing going on with it. And I loved that match. Probably that might have been my favorite match at SummerSlam, honestly. And I think a lot of it had to do with Seth Rollins. he was magnificent as that intermediary. Shawn, they even dropped the whole Shawn Michaels reference from, what was it, 96, 97? I can't remember. You know, back when he was wearing the little booty cutter, you know, ref shorts.
Yeah, that was 97.
97, thank
97.
you. It was
It's
late
97.
90s, something like that. But he was fantastic in that, you know, and the whole play with the bracelet and all this stuff, you know, and the way it all tied in. I think they did a great job of that, right? You know, yes, Cody Rhodes' walk up cannot get more extra. I mean, that was a 26-minute walk up. I mean, they had 5 minutes with the dog, and then the whole thing with Arn Anderson, and then him handing the dog off and putting the jacket on. It's just like, oh my God, get to the ring already.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention the Punk Drew match being your high point of the night. I'm the exact opposite. For me, that was the low point of the night.
Okay.
Wasn't terrible. It didn't seem fitting of the feud Punk and Drew have had up until now. Going back to the you can't touch each other. They had literally been suspended for beating each other up too much and forced not to touch. I understand WWE's not going to do blood because they don't do that, but I didn't think that match fit the story up until then. Like,
Okay.
they started off a little rough, not rough like bad wrestling, but like a little more violent, a little more brutal. But it just kind of became a wrestling match from there. It had a bit of a slow pace to it that, like, I don't care to see when two guys have been feuding that hot for a while. I didn't like the callback to SummerSlam 97 only because they also matched their gear to that match from 97, and it became a little too on the nose at that point.
Yeah.
You had people on social media tweeting it out like that spot with Sean Brett and Taker, and I don't mind the callback to it. If you're gonna call back to it, you gotta like be a little bit more self-aware of it. Like, if Seth would have gone to swing the chair, and I know he kind of pulled it, but you had that moment where Punk thought he was trying to hit him. I would rather see Seth rear back. As soon as Drew ducks out of the way, he just tosses Punk the chair and lets Punk hit Drew with it. Like, now you took that same spot, you called back to it, but you were a little bit more aware about it instead of just, hey, everybody, here's this thing that happened 30 years ago that we all wore the matching gear to it. It was just a little too on the nose for me.
I'll give you that. And to be fair, I'm not involving Drew in my decision to call it one of my favorite points of the night at all. Honest to God. Like, for me, it was all about the Punk versus Rollins.
Yeah.
The whole thing, you know? Like, that is even, I low-key, gun to my head, I might even forget that, you know, Drew was even involved in that. But it was still, I mean, even though predictable, it was still an enjoyable night of wrestling.
Yeah.
Punishment Martinez is a fantastic name. And yes, it does sound like it came out of a wrestling name generator. 100%.
Yeah, Gunther and Priest was a phenomenal match.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gunther.
Again, like, I thought the ending could have been executed a little bit better. And I'm not even talking about the roll into the ropes. This isn't a full-on stash of knowledge. This is just me logicking something people are calling a botch. Priest rolls Gunther over to the ropes to make the pin, which you're late in a match. You're just trying to get him to his back. Maybe you don't think about ring awareness. But for everyone saying it made it obvious, storyline-wise, Priest isn't supposed to suspect that Finn's about to put Gunther's foot on the ropes, and Gunther didn't kick out or get that foot himself. So had Finn not done that, Priest would have won the match. So I don't think that's much of a botch. I thought him going right after Finn while still in the middle of the match and getting choked out again just kind of made him look a little silly. And they could have got to that same story point a little bit better. Like I said, that was my reoccurring theme throughout the night. Like, I liked where the stories went. I liked the results they gave. Just some of the times getting there was just, it was a little too WWE.
Well, I mean, it is WWE, but the acknowledgement hath returned, Jamie.
Roman looked like a mega star when he came back.
That pop was deafening.
Like, that's one of those ones. I mean, they literally just did the exact same main event they did for WrestleMania, just with new characters. But when
Pretty much.
something is as over as Roman was walking out there, it does not matter what you do before then. It was the right call because
Yeah.
every single person in that building was losing their shit.
Well, I like the fact that now with Roman back, to Jamie's point, you've got the whole Bloodline versus Bloodline angle. My guess is for War Games is what they're shooting for, not for Mania. I figure they're going to get to that sooner. Plus it gives some time where you can disconnect Cody from the Bloodline temporarily, have somebody else come up and be a flavor of the week for him to, challenge or whatever, cool, right? And then you'll resurface to it after you've either consolidated or eliminated one of the bloodlines. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume we're getting Roman and Rock at Mania. They'll do the War Games at Survivor Series, and then they'll lead from that to The Rock coming back and challenging Roman.
Yeah.
Which, that's good business. Like, if it's there, that's a layup. You can't not do that.
That's easy money to print.
I'd feel bad if they didn't do it.
Right.
I would like to see, like you were saying, I would like to see Cody move on and get into some other shit, and that's not just fighting the bloodline still for like 18 months.
Yeah, just some random shit here and there.
When you look at SmackDown, who else is there?
Make some stars, man. Push people.
That was kind of.
We're talking about WWE.
I hear you, but remember when Cody was a TNT champion? He did the whole open challenge. He fought Warhorse. That's how Eddie Kingston came to AEW, right? I wouldn't mind him taking a little bit of that angle of his that he had used in the past as like a temporary thing, to elevate the rest of the locker room, give you guys some chance to be big players. They're going to have no shot, no way in hell any of them's going to be in any sort of real feud or have a shot at the title, but at least give some valuation of where your roster stands, because you have somebody who could be a big star.
You know who they absolutely should do that with, especially going back to like when Cody was TNT champion. I know they're not going truly outside the company.
Not completely, no.
But this is company adjacent. They'll never do it, but it could be done. Put Josh Alexander in that spot.
My God, yes.
I was going to say
you
Moose.
could throw him right on SmackDown into a program with Cody, have him lose at a pay-per-view, and show your audience this guy you're going to get as soon as you buy TNA.
I was going to say Moose for the same reason of hell, both of them.
So I'm looking at SmackDown's roster right now. Top guys that they have, top guys that I consider top guys. Bobby Lashley, who is gone essentially. Then you have, Jamie keeps scrolling, Kevin Owens, LA Knight, that might be a thing. Logan Paul.
Logan Paul's free of having a title in his hands, so
they already did him and Cody though.
They did. Then I'm scrolling some more. Shinsuke, Randy Orton, and Triple H. They are devoid of top guys.
You got to imagine at some point in Cody's run, we're going to get Cody and Orton eventually. Yeah. As we saw on Raw, Orton is otherwise occupied in the meantime because he's got a job to Gunther at Bash at Berlin. But I could see them doing Cody and Orton at like Survivor Series. Yeah, outside of that, SmackDown is a little light. I like the idea of heating up Nakamura and throwing him in a match with Cody.
Well, therein lies my whole point, You have these guys who conceivably could be. Nakamura is, 6 years ago, we would be begging for him to get a world title shot against anybody on whatever, right? KO and Orton, they're friendly with, they're more whatever. They're somehow associated with Cody, but that doesn't mean that they're not worthy of being in that role of top guy status. They both have been world champion, you know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would like to see them do that. Will they do that? Who knows?
I could see a trade happening here in the very near future.
Okay. Orton for...
I mean, if you're gonna do bloodline stuff, Jey Uso, but I don't think I'd want that. I could see them sending over maybe Drew after the CM Punk stuff's done, or put CM Punk over there.
Okay. But one of them...
Before they get there, I just browsed through the current roster. We already mentioned Nakamura. The other person I like to see get heated up for a month-long program with the champ, Andrade. I mean, he's the speed champion, so that's almost the same thing, but like he could carry 2 belts.
All right. Well, I didn't watch Raw. How was Raw this week? How was the Wyatts?
Actually, it was pretty good. It wasn't as good in NXT. NXT was on effing fire last night.
NXT's been great lately.
Yeah, I caught the Hulu version of Raw, so it's abridged down to 90 minutes.
They're perfect.
And not bad. Like WWE's still gonna do some WWE things, and like it's gonna be them. But for what they do and how they like to run their show, Raw was not a bad night of wrestling. Now maybe it's because I watched the 90-minute version, but if like
probably why.
If that's the 90 minutes you're gonna give me every week, I'll watch it the next day while I'm working, because like it was interesting. I actually thought the Wyatt stuff was like the lowest point for me. It wasn't bad, but it was just they just straight up did the Bray Wyatt thing. Uncle Howdy's out there in his rocking chair. They got their little spots in. They won. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do with that next, but
oh my god! So, for those of you listening, I got to reread this comment that our moderator Heather put in the chat. As somebody said, it looked like the Penn State wrestling team was going against Slipknot. Penn State's the defending 3-time national champions. They're the best wrestling program in America right now. But it's like
that is exactly what that looked like. I do gotta say, Bronson Reed murdering Seth Rollins with like 7 top rope splashes was a nice touch. I like Seth Rollins too. This isn't just I want to see Seth with his ass kicked, but that's like a very old school way to put a heel over right away.
Yeah.
Like have them just come out there and beat the shit out of somebody. And I thoroughly enjoyed that.
God,
Me too.
I love Bronson. Oh.
Yeah, no, I liked everything they did there. I thought the internal bleeding and everything was a nice touch to really even just exaggerate it. And I don't know if I can live in a world without Pat McAfee anymore, because him on the damn mic is,
I mean, it's so good.
The best.
I could do without Pat McAfee.
See, that's how some people feel about Jerry Lawler, and I think he's the new Jerry Lawler.
See, I hate Jerry Lawler too, so like that tracks.
See,
we are
okay. Gorilla Monsoon fan, like okay,
I do love me some Gorilla Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon's.
It's funny you should mention the commentators, because as I told y'all before the show, I don't have a stash of knowledge this week. I have a stash of opinions, and I'm looking for y'all's and anyone in chat that wants to chime in as well. It's a 2-parter.
Right.
We're gonna start with commentary though, because you just happened to bring it up. Last Friday on SmackDown, I didn't see it or I didn't see the segment, but apparently WWE recognized Michael Cole as the greatest WWE commentator of all time.
False.
So here's a
tough one for me to swallow there.
Here's my question to y'all. What's the most memorable Michael Cole call of all time?
I really hoped you were going in a different direction with that question. You know what I was thinking too.
The next one's unrelated, but the next one's going to be a lot more fun.
Okay,
but
good. Most memorable Michael Cole call of all time.
And I asked that because I'm not sure there is one.
I don't know.
I want to
think
get
one of
y'all's
my most-
opinion.
I think Michael Cole. I hate to say it, like he was so force fed by Vince. It's so hard. Like he does have a whole lot of catchphrases. I will give him that. The big dog.
Which is force fed by Vince McMahon.
Yeah, exactly. What
Boss
was Sasha
time.
Banks?
Boss time. It's boss time with the big dog.
Real quick aside on that topic.
I've got an email from
the
the anonymous general manager.
The absolute worst thing WWE is currently doing is calling Braun Breaker the unpredictable badass. Like, that is the dumbest nickname of all time, and they say it 30 times every time he's on camera. Like, yes, he is badass, and he is unpredictable. You don't have to call him those things. Like, come up with a cool nickname for Braun Breaker. That was
if you keep calling him that, he's no longer unpredictable. It's not predictable, right?
Yeah. If you are always unpredictable, then you're just predictable that you're going to be unpredictable. But I think Heather has the best answer to the question so far. I've got an email from the anonymous general manager. That might be the most memorable Michael Cole call of all time, because there are not many.
I've got it. And it's not necessarily a call, but it's an actual feud he had while he was a commentator. Michael Cole versus Bayley at the start during the pandemic times. That was gold. That was all Bayley, 100%. But
she still goes at it with him.
She still goes at it with him. But it actually humanized him for the first time ever instead of just being Vince McMahon's soundboard. So,
well, the birth of Nexus, I remember him saying something about Nexus.
Oh, the old school the
original, like the birth of it. Yeah, he was the commentator.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
I'm not familiar.
Like, there's got to be one. He's been doing this for like 30 years. There's got to be, but like Jim Ross, you could name a dozen things he said in the moment that stick out throughout time.
Damn you!
My God, he's broken in half.
Yeah, to be fair, though,
the hardest part of the ring
is the hardest part. What? You go to hell, you son of a bitch! You know, I mean, but to be fair, his demeanor is a lot more akin to spontaneity than Michael Cole is. Plus, Cole's been in WWE for a long time, and I will give the man his flowers that he's been doing this a while. He's been the voice of WWE for a long time. He deserves the credit, the recognition that he gets. Okay, all right. He's not just some mindless schmuck out there. He's a good commentator. He really is, right? He's got a good voice. He stays up to the pace of the match. He doesn't, overtalk his. He's a very good commentator. Okay. Jim Ross served at like the peak of wrestling for, modern times, where there was redonkulous signature moments that happened and he was on the mic for those signature moments. That's hard to beat, Yeah,
absolutely. And I did not ask this question just to shit on Michael Cole. There's a reason he's been in that chair for 30 years or so. I think he is the best at what WWE wants their commentators to do. But yeah, just the overarching point that he's been the voice of WWE for decades now, and there's really not a call that sticks out. And that's as much on WWE as it is on him, because they just don't really have those kind of moments anymore. But I figured that was worth bringing up.
He did coin the vintage Orton, vintage this, vintage that.
That's not like, but he would start saying vintage after people have been doing a move for like 2 years.
Well, and it's like RKO out of nowhere. First time you said it, you go, that's fantastic. And then every RKO comes out of nowhere. Again, it's no longer coming out of nowhere.
Maybe that's our answer. Maybe the first time he yelled out of nowhere because it stuck and became like, maybe that's the Michael Cole. Whenever the first time was,
Heather,
I would assume it would have been him. Like that's got to be Michael Cole that called that originally, but maybe that's the best we got for him.
That might be his catchphrase, like
from out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere.
I'm pretty sure JR was off commentary by the time by that time.
No, he was long gone by then.
Yeah, so that was definitely Cole.
Yeah. Well, so we found one.
Found one.
Got one. Do
But
one.
now we're gonna pivot to the more fun question. So if y'all have been on the Twitter the last couple days, y'all might have seen it wasn't a big deal on Twitter, but it came up a bit. Conrad, the mortgage guy, who, if you're unfamiliar, hosts all the podcasts with Bruce Pritchard, Tony Schiavone, Jeff Jarrett, all those guys. Someone asked about the best wrestler, and he made the point that the best wrestler is the one that draws the most money. And from the side of wrestling being a business, he's not completely wrong. But I only bring that up to ask y'all, if you had to pick one to say is the best wrestler of all time, who would you pick?
Under his context, or under,
he didn't give any context. I believe, correct?
Yeah, no, he just
No,
put,
you didn't give us any.
I did. Yeah, no. So I want it because, like, yeah, if you want to go pick like the top draw of all time, you're not wrong from a business sense. But this is art, and art is subjective, damn it. So I just want to know who y'all, if you had to pick one, who you would pick as the best wrestler of all time.
like my favorite wrestler is not the best wrestler.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
we're not going
like-
favorite. We're dubbing the best.
Ooh. Oh my God, that is an amazing question.
That's so tough.
I'll throw one out first. Give y'all some time to
You
think.
started. Yes,
Yeah.
start us off.
If I had to pick the best of all time, non-Jeff Jarrett division, because I can't just pick my favorite, I would go with Kurt Angle.
He was good.
Kurt Angle was as good as you could be on the mic. Kurt Angle is as good as you could be in the ring. And Kurt Angle also, you could have dropped him into any era of pro wrestling, even going back to like the 1950s with Lou Thesz, and he would still be the top guy. But there's no wrong answer to this. There are several worthy contenders. So I'm interested to see what y'all would throw out.
All right, I'm ready. I'll go.
All right, go for it. Give me a moment because I got to figure out which way I want.
That's fine. I was going one of two ways with this here. I think that my initial impression is what I'm gonna stick with, right? And Jamie's gonna roll his eyes at me because this is not a hard answer for me to put out there.
Ooh.
The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, the man who epitomized wrestling for a generation. Yes, in his latter years and most recently, he's not a specimen of athleticism, but in his prime, this man would walk into an arena and go 60 minutes easy, in a match, giving a show. Was it as technically superior as everybody? No, it was fantastic, but that's not what professional wrestling is, He would get the crowds worked up in a time before the internet. I mean, he epitomized wrestling to a generation. And yes, he's questionable life choices. We've documented well over time. We know. But still the Nature Boy. Still the limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. Hard to keep them alligators down. I got to go with Nature Boy Ric Flair. Woo!
Solid answer.
That is a solid answer because he is well rounded. So, like, as I'm sitting here, Big Rob came out at the perfect time.
What's up, Rob?
So I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking, okay, which way do I want to go? Do I want to go like draw wise? Because if I go draw wise, I'm probably gonna go Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like he's like the ultimate draw of draws, at least in my opinion. I'm not gonna say the Hulkster because even though he probably was, the ultimate
He's
draw
tough.
of
He'd be
all
high on
draws.
this list, to be fair.
I mean, if you're talking draws, like that's a draw. I mean, he's the reason we have wrestling the way it is today. Like, fight me on that.
I'm interested to see. I'm sure the numbers are out there and they could be researched, but I'd be interested to see from a business sense, adjusted for inflation for the decade between them, whether peak Hulkamania or peak Stone Cold Steve Austin made more actual money for the company.
Yeah.
I'd be interested, the economic impact of. Okay. But Jamie, you were saying.
Yeah. So I think, and if I went technical, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say Bret Hart. Or Dean Malenko. I think people sleep on how technically savvy Dean Malenko was.
Oh, absolutely.
True.
Man of 1,000 holds. But if I'm gonna go well-rounded, I have to be smart about this. And somebody who's a big draw, who could wrestle anybody at any time, anywhere, and was good on the mic and treated like an art form, it is Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
As much as
I mean,
I want to say Hayabusa, because the very first day I was like, ooh, Hayabusa is one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. But
Hey man, it's subjective. It's your opinion on the matter.
yeah. No, Shawn Michaels though. Shawn Michaels is, when I think of professional wrestling, I think of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's really no wrong answer. I mean, there's probably a few answers that would clearly not be a serious one, but there's really no wrong answer. But
the clown.
Yeah.
Santino Marella.
Yeah, I figured that would be a fun little discussion since Twitter was bitching about what the best wrestler actually
best means. My other place of going was AJ Styles, is what I was thinking.
That's a good one.
Because when I saw AJ Styles, especially when I, after I'd been kind of out of watching wrestling for a few years, and TNA is what brought me back into wrestling, and then I got into the indies because of that. AJ Styles was doing stuff that I had never seen before. That was just ridiculousness. And
yeah, if I had to pick a backup behind Kurt, I would probably go Eddie Guerrero.
Oh yeah,
hard to beat Eddie.
But the thing with Eddie is, like, when he was a babyface, he was a babyface because you loved him as a heel. I think Kurt did absolute true babyface and absolute hated heel equally. Not to say Shawn Michaels didn't do the same. Flair, again, by the time Flair was really a babyface, you were just so familiar with him as a heel. It was
Flair was the originator of the heel that was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, nobody had been
no wrong answers
a
here.
bad guy who people liked. And I think that Eddie perfected that little aspect of the wrestling world, right?
Yeah.
Heather once again broke me.
Nobody's perfect, Heather. Eddie perfected that because Eddie was never a face, really, and God damn it, people loved him.
Speaking of Eddie and Kurt, I feel like their rivalry doesn't get the respect it deserves from those early 2000 years when they were fighting over the title. Because Eddie and Kurt together was just absolute money.
So, Big Rob has answered your question.
Oh. Hell yeah,
So,
Big Rob.
Apparently, according to our digital soon-to-be overlords, we love and appreciate you very much, by the way. I just want to put that out there, just so in case, because I know you're listening. But ChatGPT, he plugged it in there. And apparently, industry insiders often point to Stone Cold Steve Austin as having made more money for WWE during his peak.
Not surprised, but I could have seen it going either way. Like, you never know with adjusting for inflation. Although, at Stone Cold's peak, they're running pay-per-views monthly instead of quarterly. That's when, like, the big TV deals started kicking in too.
Yep.
And wrestling became more of a TV product than a live house product.
And Hogan was longer tenured, but Hogan was also more of a cultural thing. He wasn't making money just for WWE. Stone Cold was making money just for WWE, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go back to the annals of history, Andre the Giant might have been the biggest draw of all time.
I mean, Bruno Sammartini.
Well, do you think if you really think about, like, if you watch his thing, like, he got paid so much money to go to all these different places.
Oh no, you're talking about money
everywhere he went.
Money draw.
I mean, Andre is a straight up attraction. Like,
yeah.
If Andre the Giant's come to your town, you can't miss that. It's an actual giant. Like, who does not want to see that?
Kind of like when Heidi Howitzer comes to your town. You have to see it because,
see it.
can't believe somebody actually runs their mouth that much and wrestles.
She got to run her mouth on commentary for 2 matches at Triple L. She got to sit in with the
Oh my
comics,
God, that's perfect.
which she will continue to do until she's cleared to return to in-ring action.
I mean, if you weren't convinced to buy your tickets for the next Triple L show, I mean, what more do you
Friday,
need?
October 11th. Yeah, last Friday I got to see Dak Draper, Minoru Suzuki.
How was that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a lovely time. Suzuki was bumping his ass off. Like,
Oh,
I saw Dak Draper hit him with the doctor bomb, and I was like, oh, Suzuki's working tonight. Yeah, he was bumping around.
I've heard there's 2 Suzukis. There's a Suzuki who will bump his ass off, and there's a Suzuki who will just obliterate you, like kill you.
I like to think Suzuki showed up and saw Dak Draper's 6'5" muscle mountain of handsome and was like, I'm gonna bump for this motherfucker.
All right. Well, we will talk more about WWE, of course. You know, like I said, it's now post SummerSlam, so stories are getting rebuilt. One last thing. They won't do this, but they should. When they have the event in Berlin and Gunther comes out for his match, play his original anthem. You want that German crowd to sing along with his original, with the classical. You want that. Don't do this new bullshit.
I do have to say the lyrics on his new bullshit pop me every time. Like, have you ever actually listened to his music?
I have.
Whatever
I still
that chorus
dislike
is
it very
singing,
much.
It's so unserious, but it's sung like this like epic performance, and it's all high pitched and shit. It makes me laugh every time.
It's like a parody of not only the original music, but also of what Gunther's character is.
It sounds like bad superhero movie villain music. Like it's made to make you laugh and make them unserious.
it's like Japanime, guys. Yeah. So, do you think Minoru Suzuki, whenever he's working with somebody and they ask him to do something, do you ever think he says "sor wa watashi ni hiya umaku ikamasen coyote"?
Sure.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
I like to think so. I would imagine what actually probably happens is like the vast majority of pro wrestlers are way more lacking in confidence than you would think, and they go to put a match together with Suzuki, and they're so starstruck. They're just like, whatever you want to do, and they just like don't call anything for themselves. So it's just them getting chopped by Suzuki 400 fucking times.
Their chest bleeds open, and then they do commentary for the next 3 weeks. Yeah,
that's pulling behind the curtain a little bit. That's how a lot of people are when they work anyone with a name. They just completely forget that they also have creative input in this match, and they don't suggest anything for themselves.
Doesn't surprise me.
It's more of a respect thing, wouldn't you think? Like, I want to be respectful to the guy that I'm going up against.
Yeah, well,
you would think, but like for most people that are actually like good at pro wrestling, it's kind of annoying when the other person just like has nothing to contribute to putting the match together, because like you want some of them in there too. It's a performance between 2 people or more depending on the match or whatever you're into, but you want them to have ideas for the shit they're gonna do. Like, I hate when I'm putting a match together with someone that's super green and I have to tell them all of their things too, because they just like when I was at Rocky Mountain Pro and I was booking the shows, every once in a while I would book myself in a match on a show, like a dark match or something, because we were doing TV at the time, just getting there and wrestle with like one of the students I wanted to wrestle with. And there was one kid, and he will remain nameless. Nice enough kid. But I'd see him at training all the time, and he'd always be talking about like New Japan Wrestling and wanting to do like that kind of match and all that. So one of these matches, I booked myself against him. I'm like, cool, man, let's go have a match. And we're putting it together. I'm like, cool, man. So what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't really do anything. And I was like, bro, I've been watching you train for a month. You're out there looking like Okada. Like, give me some shit you want to do in this match.
All right. Well, moving along, we had a Dynamite tonight too, guys.
We did.
Absolutely did. And you know what? It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. We're just we're a couple weeks away here. They're filling up that card for All In pretty solidly. Only thing, 2 matches were announced tonight. We'll talk about one of them later. But they kind of stuck in the middle one. I want to just, before Jamie starts going through Dynamite, get your thoughts. We're going to have the gauntlet, whatever they call it, the
Casino Battle Royale.
Casino Gauntlet. No, it's the Gauntlet, the Casino Gauntlet match sort of thing, right? They're going to have one of those for somebody to get a title shot at some point in time in the future.
I love that match, and I like doing that to set up, like, you could run that out several times a year. Just anytime you need a contender, handful of guys, some of you might not even make it in. First one to pin someone, you get the shot. Like,
It's their first
I
time
like that.
doing it on a pay-per-view too.
Yeah. Which means it's going to be like full of stars.
Yes.
My only issue is, like, Darby already has a title shot lined up for
all out.
Grand Slam.
Oh, Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Like, it seems they're, without like stories behind it, it seems like they're just kind of lining up challengers for that title, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I would have liked to see. It's weird to have 2 people with like title matches slated before they actually happen, I guess is a good way.
I like them doing it if we get a payoff at some point in time. I want to see them have one of these where they set up for a title shot and the person actually wins the title, right? Technically, they already did that when Ospreay beat, Roddy. Okay, technically, but not really, So, all right. I didn't want to steal your thunder, Jamie. Let's go through Dynamite.
So, Dynamite was, honestly, I enjoyed the hell out of Dynamite this week, guys. The storytelling, again, AEW doesn't do storytelling. But before we get into this, I do want to talk about one thing before we get in here, because this is AEW adjacent.
Sure.
There have been a lot of rumors that arguably one of our favorite tag teams, the Lucha Brothers, are going towards the Fed. How do you feel about that, gents? To be with their brother.
Honestly, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. Lucha Brothers have pretty much done everything else there is in wrestling except for the Fed. Penta's no spring chick. I don't mind it. I mean, I would, and apparently Mercy Machine Guns are going to be debuting in the Fed sometime soon here as well, which that one I'd rather see in AEW personally. But they haven't really done anything with the brothers as the brothers outside. It's either in Death Triangle as part of the trios thing, or they're doing single stuff. So they haven't really been featured as the Lucha Brothers for a couple years now. Give them a shot in WWE. I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, I like it in theory. I have a feeling I'm going to hate it in execution, because the joke gets made all the time, but like, might as well just hand them LWO shirts now. But
Stephanie Fakur, Lucha Brothers. I mean,
yeah, if they go over to WWE and the Guns are going over there, and WWE decides to actually have a tag team division with all these tag teams, it would be super rad. Like, give me more tag team wrestling on WWE.
Good tag team wrestling, because right now it is lacking. Like, Pretty Deadly is one of their top tag teams. Come on now.
Which is weird, because in like the Black and Gold NXT era, the tag team title scene was always
the best. You had DIY, you had the Revival, you had the Vaudeville Villains, I mean,
American Alpha.
Yeah, right.
American Alpha.
Whatever tag team Buddy Matthews was in.
What was EY's group?
Sanity.
I mean,
yeah.
Now AEW has a fantastic tag division, even though they don't necessarily lean on it too much. But you've got Private Party, put a pin there. Private Party, you've got, you got some young dudes. You got the Acclaimed, you got Private Party, you've got Top Flight. You got a bunch of tag teams that are kind of just hanging out. Again, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, but like AEW, they've got the teams for it, but it seems like over the last couple years, they've just kind of made it seem like the Revival and the Revival and the Bucks are FTR. The Bucks are the only teams that matter. Like even when the Acclaimed had the belts, like they had some, like they defended them, but it never seemed like a big deal. No. Even Swerve and Keith Lee, like it didn't seem like a big deal as tag champs.
The Guns, same thing with the Guns.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm unpinning it now. So,
go, run.
Megan and I, your champion, and my daughter, who is going to college in a little bit over a week, guys. Her and I were watching, and she legit brings up the fact to me, goes, ever since the trios titles have been introduced by AEW, I feel like the tag team division has drastically changed, and it's not good anymore, even though they have all the talent. I thought that was a hell of a take.
I'll give her that.
Yeah.
I will see your argument as a very good one, Megan, and raise you this. Both divisions are shit. Are booked shitty. Let's put it that way. Trios because the trios is basically one or two horses at a time.
Yeah, and like the trios is basically always a tag team that's established with another guy.
Exactly.
So you're like, just get rid of the tag titles and only have trios titles for a while.
Yeah.
Like, or only have the trios titles, but like make it a hybrid where like you could have just a tag team match. Like you could have up to 3 people, but if you want it 2-on-2, you could do that. Try something new.
Rules.
Yeah, well, so like, yeah, you could defend them as trios, or you could defend them as a tag.
How about you?
The team titles.
I got it. Okay.
Team titles.
Brain hath expanded in front of your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have either title. You have team championships. So we have the team champions. This could be a 2-man team. This could be a 3-man team, depending on the match, depending on the defense, right? So you have a title that encompasses all of that in its own specific name. No more tag team champion and trios champion. No one or the other. Just a team champion.
Yeah, just do like, yeah, they've clearly got enough people signed, but they just put no attention towards the tag. Although there was a good promo for the trios division tonight. So I think the trios is slightly above the tag, but like both need work for sure.
Well, I mean, they'll lean on one or the other depending on the booking at the time. You're not going to have both be good at the same time, so it's a detriment to both divisions, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, just combine it.
So when you brought that up, of course, this is where I feel like is a good starting point for us, because there's a lot of other big things that happened. But this was during the odd tag team trios match of FTR and Orange Cassidy, because all of his partners got delayed because of Hurricane Debbie. They were unable to make it. Going up against what team was that?
Rouge,
Roger Strong, Rouge, and the artist formerly known as Black Taurus. Beast Mortis, which actually I do like his mask, but his Taurus mask was like this big.
Yeah, he's super rad. I would appreciate it if he didn't slap his thigh when he gives a spear, though.
That's a little weird.
It's a little weird. And I'm not one of these guys that hates on thigh slapping. Like, more often than not, it definitely enhances the product. It's just really weird on a spear.
Yeah.
Well, it's really noticeable.
And then hitting right here when you're punching.
Like, you can sell it on a kick super easy, right? That's the whole point of it, And you can, other things you do, like when you have the motion of your body, but a spear is just, you're slapping your thigh for no reason.
You have to have both arms out for a spear. It's like, what do you like? How? What? Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
And again, not to hate on the guy because he's super rad. Like I enjoy watching him work. But yeah, it was like it stood out really hard that he was slapping the thigh on the spears because he hit 3 of them in a row.
Yeah. So Orange Cassidy and FTR end up winning. And then afterwards, the Acclaim come out, and then they issue, the issues between the Acclaim and FTR. Then they start kind of going at it, which, whatever. Like, it's just so dumb. I just hate, like, it's a 3-horse race. So you got the Bucks, you have FTR, and you have the Acclaimed. That's it. Like, everybody else is just there.
Well, and to play devil's advocate, I like what they're doing between the Acclaimed and FTR, right? Because this is what a division should be. The other guys are vying for the shot at the champs, right? And that's what these two teams are doing. But to your point, it's just them.
Yeah,
those two teams.
I mean, where's Private Party? Why aren't they in there? Like, hey, me too. Where's Top Flight?
I'm interested to see what the tag team match ends up being at All In. Like if it's going to end up being a triple threat,
100%,
or if they are pivoting to Bucks and FTR one more time.
Neither would surprise me. I would put money on triple threat.
Would y'all rather see a triple threat than Bucks and FTR one more time?
No, I want
Probably
Bucks.
not.
My eyeballs could use that every day of the week.
It's like Bucks versus Bros. I'll give me that all the time. Sure.
That's why I have a suspicion they're just pivoting to Bucks and FTR for All In. Because I feel like I don't think that makes the most storyline sense, but I feel like if you did a large pool of AEW fans, the majority of them would rather just see the Bucks and FTR run it back in a great tag team match.
I mean, their style is kind of built for England too. Like that fan base would,
Oh, Big Rob's on Team Triple Threat.
Oh,
I don't think a triple threat would be bad either.
You get Bucks and FTR. You just also have the Acclaim there.
The only thing is like triple threat tags, like they can be really good in AEW. I don't know with that combination of teams how great it could be. Whereas we know FTR and Bucks in a straight up tag team match will be great 10 times out of 10.
We talked about this previously. I don't know if it was before you joined us or not, Austin. I know Jamie and we talked about this ad nauseum a lot over the years. There's 2 different types of multi-team tag matches. There's the ones that I don't like, which is you have 2 people in and they can tag anybody. And then there's the ones that I do like, which are there's one representative from each organization in the match at the time where you can tag your individual teammate. I wish they would do the latter, and then anytime they do any of these, like if you're gonna have a triple threat with these tag teams, have it be where you have 3 men in the ring at a time. I know that's a lot going on.
Like multi-man tags is because they either end up being tornado, or if you are tagging in and out, it takes away the things that tag team wrestling gives you, namely like the big hot tag, which you can kind of get, but it's not the same with multiple like you need 2. And there's so many elements of tag team wrestling you lose when you start adding teams.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is just a giant Spotfest clusterfuck, and those are usually fantastic. So like it could be either way.
So let me play a little devil's advocate on this and say this. The most memorable tag team matches that I can think of always had some kind of crazy stipulation. And typically, it was always one stipulation, gentlemen. And that was introduction of a ladder. And I would think if you did a triple threat, the way to do it would be a triple threat ladder match.
I was just thinking that actually.
Yeah, because you got 6 people. That's the perfect number for a ladder match in general. 6 people, right? Cool.
Yeah, like I'd be good. Like that would make sense too. Like make that be your gimmick match on the show.
Yeah, we don't have any gimmick. Do we have any gimmick matches booked yet for All In? I don't think we do we?
No, not as far as I know.
I mean, the walking gimmick, Chris Jericho hasn't booked himself in a match yet.
It's
Speaking
coming.
of gimmick matches, did y'all see on Collision? It's going to be Thunder Rosa and Deanna part 82 in a bull rope match.
Which great, but can we?
That's
You
been
have
happening
nobody
for a
else.
long
You have
time.
nobody else that can hop. Nobody else is there. I mean, I know Sky Blue is hurt, but is there nobody
Anna
else?
Jay's in Japan, dude. Anna Jay's
Which
cutting her
good
teeth
for
with
Anna
Stardom
Jay.
right now.
I hope she comes back from Stardom just killing it.
I do too. I think Stardom's gonna, because Anna Jay in Stardom. I think that's a fantastic, like, perfect place for her to learn some shit, right? You know.
Speaking of the women and going back to gimmick matches for All In, there's one they absolutely should book, and that's Statlander and Willow in a death match.
Oh,
Texas Death Match. Yes, I guess it would be a Blackpool death
it'd be
match,
a
something cool like
Cockney
that.
death match.
Yeah, some kind of
Oi!
hardcore match
Oi!
with Statlander and Willow at All In.
Yes. I would
Or-
be in stokes. Yeah.
Or Kamille versus all of England's wrestling.
Ginny comes out of retirement.
I mean, what'd you think about? So Kamille got another match tonight. We had 2 women's matches tonight, Jamie.
Ew. That's
Again.
3 consecutive weeks, gentlemen.
So, hey, it's a
3
pattern. It's a pattern now.
Consecutive weeks. So Kamille, I think Big Mama Cool is what I'm calling her now. She is the Diesel, and my God, they are booking her great. She looks fantastic. As long as they don't mess it up, like if they don't AEW it, I think we're gonna be fine.
What were your thoughts on? Because we talked about Camille's debut, in-ring debut last week. Squash, perfectly fine. What were your thoughts on doing a 2-on-1 squash, which, as you know, Austin, gives it more TV time, so it's not just 90 seconds of bullshit. I loved it.
Yeah, they're giving her the Ryback treatment, which, like, and I don't even say that jokingly. It's a great way to establish a monster or someone that, like, should be taken seriously as more powerful and stronger than the other people on your roster. It's great. It makes Kamille look stronger, and it's different. Like, we see someone squash a jobber in 30 seconds every week.
Wardlow.
Throw 2 out there. Do something different. I love it.
Yes, Big Mama Cool. That's her new nickname.
You know, with that, hey, that's it. If the shoe fits, man.
If we started a pool, how long would y'all bet on it taking before we get Kamille and Mercedes after Kamille gets tired of her shit and turns on her?
1 year.
You think he'll make a full year?
Full year. Has to.
Yeah.
1 year. All in next year.
I feel like, yeah, because you got a definite plan for Mercedes the way it's going right now, right? You got the whole Brit storyline. Enter in Jamie Hayter at some point in time, potentially. I know. There's Jamie likes to putting Jamie Hayter into the Mariah May. I know, but I know you do. But I just know Tony. I just feel like that's anyway. But I don't know. I feel like you just had this same story more or less being currently played out on the other side of your women's division, right? I think it's a fool's errand for it anytime soon, as in at least 2024, to do the same thing twice. So
yeah, I think they'll definitely make it through the end of the year, but I could see around, like,
I would say Double or Nothing next year, maybe.
spring. Yeah, maybe Dynasty if they do that again in March, like a Revolution somewhere. That's right. Dynasty was like May, so like maybe like around Revolution or so.
At the earliest.
But yeah, I see that sometime after the first of the year, kind of in that first quarter of 2025.
I think
That's got to be coming.
Yeah, I think depending on how you're doing with Mercedes, as you know. Because she had another promo tonight afterwards.
She sure did.
She sure did.
She definitely forgot what she was
how I
saying
gave
and
her
said,
flowers for last week. Remember how I gave her flowers?
"You did," and it was warranted. It was good last week.
Yeah. Well, this week happened. It was okay. Like
was
if I was
fine.
gonna rank her promos since she's been here, it's definitely in the top 10.
It's not the worst.
It's not the worst.
Like, I'm not as familiar with Kamille. Can Kamille talk? Can she just hand the mic over to her heater?
They're about the same.
Kamille is a beat people up person. And we just leave it at that. She doesn't really say words. She just goes out and beats people up and then leaves.
Yeah. I still think they need Stokely, although I do love the Stokely and Statlander stuff. But you could throw Statlander in there with them too. I think Mercedes, surrounded by the two most Haas women you have on the show, like, that's a good dynamic.
I mean, I agree with you there. I think that plot-wise, it makes more sense if you just make her full-on elite. Because then you got the Bucks being her mouthpiece. Cool.
Yeah, but she can be, like, associated with the elite and have her own little stable of folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think Stokely is the perfect mouthpiece for that entire faction.
You're not wrong.
I dig that. I dig that a lot. But Mercedes would never go for that. Like, that's the thing. She has to be the star. She's in Hollywood, guys.
But that makes her seem more like a star.
Yeah, like she doesn't have to do her talking. She lets somebody else do it for her.
Like, she'll grab the mic to make a point here or there, but she can stand in the back, let the other people do the work for her. Like, that's what makes you look like a star. We watched Roman Reigns not wrestle for like a 4-year-long title reign. Everyone else wrestled for him. It'll work. He looked like a star because of it.
Yeah. I dig it. But you know who is looking like a star right now, gentlemen?
Who would that be?
Nice little segue here. Miss Mariah May. The way that they are booking Miss Mariah May has been excellente as well. And it's nice to see Viva Van on AEW and not in GCW giving what's his name, a stink face, and finishing his story. It was all over Twitter. I can't think of that guy's name, but yeah. So the way that they're doing that whole thing is great. Mariah looks amazing. Like, just, I mean, she's a model, but like the way that they're booking her too is just on top of it. Like, I'm really enjoying this Mariah May.
I'm glad they gave this match a little bit of time, right? It covered a commercial break. It wasn't, like Viva got some stuff in, which she's well deserved. I mean, we've seen her a few times, I think. I don't remember, but I know we've seen her on AEW a bunch on Dark back in the Jacksonville days. She was on there quite a bit. But it's good to see her again, and it wasn't two squash matches in one night, right? So you had a little bit of leeway you were given with that, but yeah, and then of course you get Tony coming out because of the giant postcard with the picture and on the back, "Die Mariah Die," and my God, like, as they were being separated by security and the rest and everything, the crowd was into this. This is still over as hell. This is going to be fantastic in Wembley.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, cool seeing Viva Van out there. Glad she got the opportunity. I would have liked to see Mariah beat someone a little bit more established. Just because we haven't really seen, like, she went through the Owen, which was a very short tournament, but like, I would like to see Mariah rack up a couple more wins against like top competition leading into All In, just to build her up a little bit more. But yeah, like what we got was still good, and yeah, that crowd was super hot into Tony and Mariah fighting at the end.
The whole dynamic, and then like both of them are really great facial expression wise too. Like, you could see they did a really good job of having hatred towards each other, and like the crowd fed off of it, and it was just magnetizing. Like, it was just Yeah, I can't. There are a few matches at All In that I'm really, really, really looking forward to. This has got to be maybe top of the list, if it's not second. At the lowest is number 2.
Yeah, I think this has like the best story going into it, which they've been telling it all year. So like, why wouldn't it be? But it's good to see a women's title match that has a very strong story behind it, because it's been a minute.
And yet another reason why I don't think you're going to have Jamie Hayter come in after this match.
So let me ask you this, guys, then, because the Jamie Hayter thing, I do want to put a pin in that.
Okay, all right.
If Mariah wins, is this the best storyline of AEW for the year?
No. But its competition is almost unbeatable. The best storyline of the year is Sting's retirement.
Disagree with
that. That's fair. Sting's retirement.
Like I said, it's
its own thing.
It is its own thing. It is.
And that's why I'm
thing.
disagreeing with you, because I don't. Sting's retirement. I don't know. I think this is the best storyline of the year. I mean, what they've done with Tony, the way they've kind of transitioned this kind of one-off little offshoot character moment into a movement of Tony Storm and then Mariah May, and, you know, the overness that she's getting because of this. Yeah, I would say it's the storyline of the year.
That's fair. I would still put Sting's retirement ahead of it, but that's subjective.
I hear you. I understand where you're coming from with that. I do. I get it.
Yeah. I do think a good honorable mention would be Willow and Statlander.
I'm trying to think of a men's story that shapes up, and
I can think of one.
Yeah, Hook and Jericho, obviously.
That's not gonna work for me, brother.
I mean, the only one I can really think of is, because it started just before the end of last year, but, you know, you've got Swerve Hangman, but then there's a giant gap in that, which is why I'm hesitant to put that on, you know, overarching. Sure, it lines up, but I mean, women's stories, how about that? Women's stories for the win.
I'm in. Give the women their due, and then they can have a blow off in the first ever 100% for women arena or stadium, and have a pay-per-view in said arena or said stadium at the CPKC stadium.
I said that when they were building it. I was like, they need to have it here. This is where they need to have all women's pay-per-view and in a women's sporting arena.
Absolutely. Because
it's in our backyard and it's easy for us to get to.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull the pin out of Jamie Hayter for a second. Okay.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready, because I've kind of given my feelings on it lightly earlier on. So Jamie, let's go.
All right. Well, it's pretty simple. She was getting tested as of 3 weeks ago to see if she's ready to be back. So I believe that she is well on her way back to recovery. So what better place to have her reappear than All In?
Agreed.
Now, which storyline does she fit in better with?
Aha.
Well,
aha.
Here's the thing. So after Mariah wins, what's next? Like, you gotta think about that. Like, what happens next for Mariah? Is she gonna go through the same pain that we had with Hangman, and then they end up becoming a transitional champ? Or do you instantly have her go into another awesome storyline with a country person acting like they're going to celebrate with them or whatever, or come out to make a save on a former friend. And there you have it. I feel like it makes a lot of sense for her to come out and make a save for Tony.
Booking wise and everything, I totally get your points. I agree with you. I think that a healthy Jamie Hayter should be in the title picture against Mariah May, and that should definitely be something you focus on. Maybe not immediately, as in the same night that Mariah wins the title, though, because you have her longtime compatriot going up against Mercedes Moné, who has a beast of a woman in her corner. This is like so obvious it hurts. She's going to be coming out to run back up either before or after the match to save Britt Baker. I mean, it's
counterpoint.
The writing's on the wall there. This is the easiest layup there's ever been.
Counterpoints. I don't think you're necessarily wrong. But one, if you send Hayter out there, you basically 3 weeks after debuting her kind of kill the main attraction of Kamille. I think you make Kamille look smaller. You also make her look less intimidating because Hayter's not going to run out there and then get her ass beat by Kamille. Like, she's going to go clear the ring. I don't think you need to do that to Kamille just yet. I think you can build to Hayter and Kamille over time. And I think starting with that, just if Kamille had been around 6 months at this point, absolutely. But she is 3 weeks in and beating two ladies at once. Like, let's keep her looking a little bit more unstoppable before you have the hometown babyface come out and clear her out of the ring. I think it's just too quick for that. Going back to your point, Jamie, you gave two options. I would actually take the first option, that you make Mariah May a transitional champion. I think Hayter comes out to confront her after the match, and Hayter takes the title off her 2 weeks later. Not because I have anything against Mariah May, but Mariah May is young and a heel. I think Mariah May climbing that mountain, because the story's her going after Tony's title, but like y'all said, where does she really go next? I think her climbing that mountain and then immediately losing that belt 2 weeks later for her first little run is just great. It gives you great stuff going forward for storytelling.
And that's where I go. Honestly. I feel like she comes out, makes a save, you get those two going at each other, set up for Grand Slam, she takes the belt at Grand Slam. Gets the belt she never lost.
Oh, all out.
Either or.
I say Grand Slam, give her a little time.
He said give her 6 weeks instead of 2 weeks.
No,
yeah, give her Thunder Rosa at All Out. Let her beat Thunder Rosa.
If it's gonna be short, make it even shorter.
Make it short. Make it real short.
Make it.
I mean, personally, and again, whether I like it or not, my feeling is, regardless of what happens, and I agree with you, Maria's going to win it at All In. That's my pick. Okay, it's already out there. We all agree with that. I don't think they're going to give up on the Tony and Mariah story immediately. They should. They should give Tony some time off, but they probably won't. Just like I feel like having Jamie coming out during Britt is too obvious. They will do that. I just feel like it, you know. I mean, hypothetically, you absolutely can, you know. I like it better without the belt. I mean, yeah, they have the CMLL belt now in the middle of it there, but I have no problem with them continuing on with, you know, Stat and Willow ongoing feud. This is personal, right? Anyway, that's just, well, you guys tell us what you think. Mine is more of, I would absolutely rather see her come out. I want to see her do both. I just want to see Jamie Hayter back in AEW. I miss me some Haterade. So you guys tell us what you would like to see happen. Subsequently, what do you think will happen? you know, because those are two different answers that I have. And I'm just going with logic here. I know I give you crap all the time, Austin, but my logic's popping through here and saying, it's a little low-hanging fruit. They're going to do it. Well, I don't think you don't have to come out and have her beat up Kamille. She comes out, and because she comes out, they just leave. They're like, fuck it, we're out, right? Okay. She's got to have her do both. Shit. Yeah. All right. God bless you, Don Callis. I mean, that checks with Don Callis's MO. Mm-hmm. What do I do? What do I do? Tony Schiavone told him to hit him in the face with the screwdriver. Your face commentator said, do it. Mm-hmm. The screwdriver was important in the Kenny Omega storyline. But making it a reoccurring prop is just stop it. Yeah.
But him hugging Kyle Fletcher's head and being that concerned, it gave me Kingston and Mox in the exploding barbed wire deathmatch vibes. Like, it was so over dramatic. MJF just hit him a couple times with his ring. MJF's hit half the roster with the ring. Like, yeah, he's bleeding a bit, but I've seen Kyle Fletcher take some nasty bumps, like a little too dramatic for the somewhat subdued ass beating he just took.
All right, so Rob pointing this out here. I do apologize for those of you listening on replay or online. I didn't break anything. Stop it. But yeah, somehow, yeah. Your audio cut out for a hot second there. So Austin was talking about how overplayed the whole screwdriver gimmick is since they did it. And it's just, yeah.
So speaking of the Don Callis family, did you all see Takeshita basically murder El Phantasmo?
I
did
really
not,
enjoy that throughout
actually.
the G1, at least once a week, I get a sweet Twitter clip of Takeshita murdering somebody. It's been fantastic.
Phantasmo, though? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the Hideo Danashi driver, aka what Statlander does, you know, like
Yeah.
where she
No, I know what
does
it
it
is.
like
Yeah.
in a tombstone style. Yeah, through a table off of the hardest part of the ring. Yeah.
And that's the Japanese table, so it's those little hard fuckers too.
Yeah, they're smaller and
Yeah.
thicker. Yeah, dude. So anyway, speaking of that, good luck to him. He's got 8 points right now. He is second in his block.
Go.
But anyway,
Go to Keshka.
yeah. Anyway, so this match happened. Yeah, at least he got kangaroo kick afterwards. Whatever, it was fine.
My favorite part of the match was, I think it was right before I went to a commercial. I don't remember, but it's like when the action spilled onto the ring, and we have all made this insinuation in some form or another over the past month, give or take, right? But the shot of in the crowd, and he goes up the stairs, and he's surrounded by the crowd, and the crowd is eating up Kyle Fletcher. And I'm just like, yeah, he's got it. He's got it.
Dude,
man.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like, right when that happened, I was like, damn, he looks like a star right now.
He looks like, yeah.
The way the crowd treated him, he also seemed like a star there too.
Yeah. Like, what a shot.
Kid's got it.
He's got it, man.
I mean, he is Baby Osprey. He really is.
It really is. And they're going to break him off of this. It's going to be, and you'll have some sort of the UE back together of sorts. And maybe Mark Davis is not far off. So who knows?
I politely disagree with that, sir.
You don't think they're going to do a reformed UE?
I think he's going to get pissed off that his boy wasn't there, and Don Callis is going to feed into it, and then you are going to get Kyle Fletcher versus Osprey
Ooh.
again, but like with a little bit more heat behind it.
That would not be bad. I would still like to see UE just because we need more tag teams being featured in the tag team division. I think they would like they would
They're
get
not
some
the
run.
Acclaimed or FTR or the Bucks. They are not a tag team that they can.
Speaking of that, like they clearly went in different directions, but now I wish they were giving us Osprey and Fletcher against the Bucks at All In because that match would absolutely slap.
Dude.
Well, he's got to win his international title.
Yeah, like they're doing different. Like the stuff we're getting still going to be great.
I only
but,
have
like,
so
after
much
seeing
fluids
this, I'm
in
like,
my
damn.
body. I couldn't take that match, man. It would not be good for me.
And the one time
Sorry.
I wish AEW had rights to some WWE songs, because I feel like MJF right now needs to come out to "I'm a Real American."
Oh.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. Come on, man. Everybody knows the words of that damn song.
Everybody does.
Stuck in your head since you were like this big.
Fight for your life.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting their hands on that one, but that would be rad.
Comes out yellow and red. Ooh.
I wonder if they could. I wonder if they could get around it. I wonder if they could get around it by having a cover band play it.
Or doing like a bad version of it, like an off version. That sounds very similar.
We're just a little off.
Just like a vanilla ice it, just.
Yeah. His is dun 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 dun. Ours is dun 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 dun. See, it's completely different.
He really thought that I was going to hold up in court. Yeah, we add one note in the middle of it. No.
Oh, so good. All right, so Darby Allin cut another promo on Jack Perry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not looking forward to this match.
I think the match is going to be good, honestly.
And
Real good.
I don't think we mentioned it, but Big Rob made a good point in the chat earlier that will probably be your gimmick match for All In.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think it'll be good. Like,
I think Jack Perry and Darby Allin, that's going to be a good match.
yeah. I'm enjoying everything I'm getting from Jack Perry, and Darby Allin in any kind of gimmick match is can't miss. So like, and I think it's a good thing to do for Jack Perry as well, because Darby does not need to win that match, and I think he gains something by beating Darby.
I agree.
Yeah. Because Darby is, and this pains all of us to hear and even for me to say, but Darby is the most accomplished TNT champion in AEW history.
And Darby's wrestling for the world title like a few weeks
Grand
later.
Slam.
So like, he doesn't need to win the TNT title.
No, absolutely not.
But if he loses it, then he looks weak and he won't win.
Darby can eat a loss. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Especially
He
in a
already
gimmick
has
match.
the title shot in hand. It doesn't matter. This literally doesn't matter, but it's going to be a fun match.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Does that work for you, brother?
I guess. It kind of works for me. All right. So where are we? I don't even know where we're at.
We're
down
Bryan
around
Keith.
a bit.
We're at Bryan Keith.
Oh. The Bad Apple. I know this made one person on this show very, very excited.
Hell
Just
yeah.
one?
Shibata versus Bryan Keith. Gentlemen, other than having a very, very annoying Chris Jericho, he was extra spicily annoying today.
Oh.
I don't know. It got under my skin. Like,
It's doing its
supposed to
job. It's working.
I mean, because like lately I've been coming around to the whole, learning tree. Like I finally came around. Now I'm just like, okay, I'm back to being where I was after today.
Okay.
I'm not over it yet. I do think, like, if they had a much shorter pre-tape here and there, or like had not as many segments every single week, I get that's part of the gimmick, but like that Jericho voice, it works, but not quite as often as they're doing it, because it does get a little grating after a
Yeah.
while. Not in a heat way, in a all right, get back off my TV way, which is unfortunate, because I think the learning tree stuff in general has been great.
Yeah.
But the match, though.
I mean, I got Shibata versus Bryan Keith.
Bryan Keith looked fantastic. Shibata. I mean,
There's
It was-
nothing bad about
I
this
feel
match at all.
I feel like Bryan Keith versus Shibata is a match I want to see in a crowded room with like 600 people.
In a cold
it was
beer in
so-
your hand? Yes.
Yeah, it was still very good on TV, but like that's what I want to see on the indies.
yeah.
Think about that in an indie show. What spots we get.
Yeah.
I think like that kind of wrestling too is also just like better experience live.
Yeah.
It is. I'm just happy to see Bryan Keith
Oh yeah,
being
absolutely.
featured on getting it on that, Of course, Shibata wins. Out comes Hook. A returning Hook to make the save.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited that Hook's back and he could barely see,
Yay.
So the biggest complaint I have of the show tonight, which was still a good show, like not taking anything away from it, it was like every damn match had a run-in beatdown afterwards.
Yeah.
It was like at least the first 4 matches in a row basically had the same ending post-match thing, and just change it up a bit. But yeah, Hook's back. Is anyone giving a shit?
No.
No, not on this channel.
I'm so over Hook. It's not even funny. Now we know.
Maybe some people at the church picnic, Shivani.
I just don't care. I just really want them to move on from Hook.
Yeah.
For our sake, for Hook's sake, for everybody's sake.
Like, we've seen this in several iterations.
We're going to see it again in about 3 weeks because, it's going to be Hook Shibata and who knows, maybe Grado, maybe Joe, maybe something.
Either that or it's going to be Hook and Jericho for the FTW title again. And they'll just have everyone else doing run-ins because it's no rules.
Whatever.
Which, if we get a surprise run-in that you may have just mentioned, like, worth it. But, yeah, it's hard to give a shit about that.
I'm at the point where I don't care about that, but I do care about the segment that happened just shortly after the Orange Cassidy thing, and that was with Hangman again losing his mind about Strickland, and I am here for it because that is a match I want to see every day of the week.
I mean, this is your stay on target moment for AEW. Mm-hmm. Stay on target. Stay on target. And I'm good. This is the long-term story arc for the company that they need. And when this eventually does happen, whenever the hell that is, and I hope it's not anytime soon, to be honest with you, right?
Same.
I want them to make this because it'll be special.
Yeah, I'd like to see Swerve doing his own thing and Hangman getting progressively crazier to try and get him to finally have another match. Like, build it up, take some time. Like, not that Swerve's ducking him or anything, but, like, he's a champ. He's got shit to do. And Hangman keeps losing his opportunities to get a shot at him.
I mean, the last match they had opened with one man being hanged and then having his blood drank by the other man. That's how they opened the match. you gotta give some time there.
So let me ask you this, gentlemen. With the way he's acting, and now that we know Okada is facing off against Claudio at All In.
Well, it's not confirmed for All In, but yeah.
Does he cost Strickland his title to Bryan Danielson? Anybody thought about that until just recently? Because it only popped in my head until today.
I had certainly thought about it. I hope not, though, because I think if you are going to have Danielson go over, have him go over by something like that kind of kills the moment a little bit. Yeah, like I would hope he doesn't cost Swerve the title. Now, if he interferes and he somehow fucks it up where he accidentally helps Swerve, obviously not intentionally, but it backfires or something and Swerve ends up winning from it, that might be an interesting story beat.
I just feel like
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is Bryan Danielson's final match. Okay, I don't see a world where they put the title on him. I understand the notion of crown the man and then let him die, let him walk out the door on top. I understand that notion. Just don't see it happening.
I had a similar thought until they announced it, Swerve's title versus Bryan Danielson's career. Because I don't think Bryan Danielson is completely done yet. He's not going to be full-time, but if I had to put money down, I'd say Bryan Danielson wins that match.
I was like 90% sure Swerve was going to win, and then tonight happened.
I mean, they're getting us talking about both sides of this. So that's good no matter what. No,
it's provocative.
It's interesting booking. It's interesting booking I'm interested to see what they do with the story with 2 or 3 more Dynamites left for the pay-per-view. Because like we were talking about earlier, there's not many memorable men's storylines from this year. I'm interested to see if they try and do more with this, or if they're just like, it's Swerve versus Bryan Danielson, you're tuning in anyways, who gives a shit? Which isn't a bad option either, because it's going to be awesome. But
I don't know. How about that Claudio versus Okada, though? I know it's not confirmed for All In, but it's going to happen at All In. Let's be real.
I thought they said it on the show.
They say he's getting a title shot, but I didn't think they confirmed it for All In.
I know he won the shot on Collision, and next week they're doing a face-to-face.
Face-off, yeah.
I would assume if they're doing the face-off, it would probably be for All In.
It's got to be.
But I don't think they've announced it yet.
I mean, you want to see that I want to see that whenever it is, but Claudio and Okada, yes, please put that on All In's card. Please.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. It's a great thing for both of them to do.
Yeah, it has not been officially announced. So far you just have Swerve, Danielson, Tony, Mariah, MJF, Ospreay, Monet versus Britt, Jack Perry, Darby Allin, and the Casino Gauntlet match. Which I know we hit on lightly, but there is a lot of speculation that a certain person who is like a bullet that bounces off things might be showing up.
They also announced a trios title match at All In.
Right, they just don't have the opponents because Saturday they're going to have House of Black and Bang Bang Gang go up against each other
with Christian as a special referee.
Yes.
That promo was so good.
God, he is so good. I love the fact that Mama Wayne is wearing one of the belts, not Luchasaurus, right? You know, it's just everything about it is just Christian's so good. God,
talk about a hard pivot from 1 week, because it was supposed to be Lucha Bros, and since they're leaving, they're like, "Fuck those guys, here we go."
I'm assuming we're gonna get a triple threat at All In, or some kind of like big schmaz kind of match.
I don't really care because I don't think you go wrong either way.
I also just don't want to see House of Black or Bang Bang Gang left off pay-per-view.
That's fair, but I'm good with that too. Like here, like in this is the problem we mentioned earlier with both the trios division and but the trios division is up right now, but they have 3 really good options right now, and therein lies the problem. So you have a 3-way trios match and make it a triple threat, so you have 1 member of each team in at a time. So 3, 3, 3, fantastic patterns, numbers. It's the magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
So since we're getting towards the main event, do you want to talk about the Swerve promo? I mean, it was a very...
That was a nice little interview with... You mean the interview with JR?
Yeah, the interview with JR, which
that was good.
I mean,
it was cool. It was
almost identical to what he said after the match. But
yep,
some promo from the champ.
I mean, I'll say this instead of talking about that. I think they've done a very good job of doing these promos. Like we mentioned this they shifted this thing a few months back. A lot more little short video promos, right? I think it does a very good job. You get TV time, telling your stories for the people you want to tell the stories, but you're not hogging up 6-7 minutes of bullshit, sitting there with Renee backstage. I enjoy that. And we got 2 women's matches because of this.
Yeah, see. All right. Talk about how holograms on a roll. That was cool. Holograms a lot of fun to watch.
A lot of fun.
All right, so we already talked about that. Oh, main event time. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat on commentary, ladies and gentlemen. And us old school wrestling fans are on this. I was excited to see him. He still looks great and spry. Looks like he could go kick some ass.
Yeah, never sad about seeing Ricky Steamboat.
Never. What'd you guys say?
Also never sad about seeing a match start with Jeff Jarrett running from behind and hitting Bryan Danielson with the guitar.
I figured you might love that.
I mean, first of all, you get Jeff Jarrett in the main event of your evening.
and he looked great.
B starts with a guitar shot off the rip. Let's go.
Yeah. And you also get Bryan Danielson. It was perfection.
I mean, two consummate professionals doing it. You know, this is like, hey, this is how you do it, kids, right? It's an anything goes match, but it wasn't crazy. They brought up a lot of bullshit and chairs and fighting in the stands and all that stuff. They went out to the concourse. There's trash cans involved and beer bottles, but it wasn't over the top. I never felt like this was like an over the top, you know, no DQ match, right?
Yeah, and it didn't need to be.
Which you know me, I love me. Give me tax. Give me a million tax, right? I love tables. I love all the bullshit and all the stupid shit. You don't need it all the time. You barely need it some of the time. So that was nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that old school, just a brawl, which I dug.
And I really enjoy that occasionally in Dynamite, you'll just get a match you never would have expected as a main event. And who would have thought at any point up until recent history, you would see Bryan Danielson and Jeff Jarrett in a hardcore match main eventing cable TV.
And the fact that Bryan Danielson is doing a hardcore match technically 6 days after his contract expired says a lot about the man.
He loves pro wrestling.
Show does.
That's why I don't think he's. That's why I think he's gonna win now.
That's why I don't think he's losing it all in.
I don't think he's losing now. I don't like. I know I'm gonna waver like 27 times like I usually do, and then like I'll make my final decision.
We could be here for another hour and a half talking about this because there's also the old adage of retirement in wrestling. Retirement in wrestling is kind of like quitting smoking. It's the easiest thing. You know, most people do it 10 or 12 times, right?
I just assumed Tony walked up to him and was like, man, let me put this title on you. I'll give you a 6-week run. I will pay to get anyone you need to main event Dynamite with and defend that belt. And just give him a short run of just having TV main event bangers before he
and then drop it to Darby Allin in New York City.
Anybody.
No, Darby Allin's fighting for the championship at Grand Slam. He won.
Slam.
Yeah, he could drop it there. He could keep it until the Wrestle Dream or whatever in October when they're in his backyard up there in Washington.
I just don't want to see Darby Allin with the world title. I don't have as much against Darby Allin as Jamie does. But I still don't want to see him with the world title. Not yet. Like maybe one day in his career, sure. Right?
I wouldn't mind seeing a short run. Like that wouldn't be my preferred option either, but if he holds it for a couple weeks just to transition it back into Hanger or Swerve, I'm good with that.
You could immediately go back to Swerve.
Yeah, because I think
Swerve and Darby in the Northwest, give it back to
the
Swerve.
pop you'll get when Darby wins that title is going to be massive.
I don't think
The
it's a
fans
bad
love them some Darby.
Yeah, and I've always been of the opinion that it's not a bad idea to move the titles around, right? We grew up in the era where, I mean, shit, Jamie, was it 14 times one night the Hardcore Championship changed hands in one show?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
Crash Holly won it like 3 times that night.
I mean, I like titles moving, you know? It's good for the whole division.
I agree. I think the holding on to a belt forever trope that's going on in WWE and AEW, like it's okay for belts to move around, man. I feel like it. I know people think it diminishes the belt, but it also means that your competition's really good and it builds up. I feel like it builds up your roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, you either need a super over babyface that we're talking like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan levels of over, where that's the only person people give a shit about. Like that's a fine long title run, or you need a heel that people absolutely hate, and you need the good enough storytelling to make that long run interesting. I always like to go back to JBL's run with the title back in 2004. You thought there was no way he was ever escaping with that belt, and he kept finding ways to hang on to it. As opposed to the Roman Reigns heel run of, oh, Bloodline's going to interfere and he's just going to win again because that's all, like they never do anything.
That's what they
So
do.
it can be done, but I don't think either company really has the good storytelling. Not that either isn't capable of telling some good stories, but like to sustain a long heavyweight title run like that.
Yeah, because if all your belts stay on somebody forever, it loses the value of somebody having a long title reign.
Yeah.
Right? If everything else is changing and you have one person who's consistent, that means more.
Yeah. Like I miss when you used to get the occasional title change on Raw or Nitro.
Exactly.
Oh, dude.
Oh, so good.
Remember when Goldberg won it on Nitro?
I remember I videotaped that because I was at some sort of event. I left that event just in time to get home to see the main event. And I watched the whole thing afterwards. But they sold out the Georgia Dome for a Monday night episodic TV show. The Georgia Dome, where the Atlanta Falcons played their games, 50 however many thousand people for a Monday night event. It was insane.
Yeah. And when you do that occasionally, then you start to believe when they book heavyweight title matches on TV that it might change hands.
It's better than these damn freaking eliminators, which the guy never loses. It's like, why even make an eliminator if you already know he's not gonna like win?
I know.
But like, I'm actually okay with that. It just puts stakes on the match.
Statlander won her
have 'em
eliminator
pay
match last week.
It's like,
Put the belt
hey,
up there.
no, just hey, you haven't earned a title shot, but if you beat the champ, you've certainly earned one because you've shown you can do it.
And they
Go
do,
show us you can do it.
like I said, they do
And
have
then-
some payoff. Statlander won her eliminator last week. She gets a CMLL title shot at some point in time.
Yeah.
That's like the
And,
first
like-
one in like 6 years.
True, but it's not absolute zero.
Yeah. It doesn't have to happen all the time, just
I'm just saying.
every once in a while. But it's a good way to keep your champions wrestling on TV without having them defend the belt every single time. Which I also wouldn't be mad if they just made that's the AEW rule. If you're a singles champion, you have a match on TV, that belt is up for grabs.
I think
I'd be
Ooh.
fine doing it
no
the
matter
other way.
what.
Yeah.
I think TBS and TNT absolutely should be
Yes.
because they're TV titles.
I think they should be defended every week on TV.
If you have a match on TV and you're the TV champion, guess what's on the line? That
Yeah.
fucking championship.
Give
That's
me,
the way
give
it
me
should
Jack
be.
Perry's squashing enhancement talent in 30 seconds, but putting the TNT belts on the line.
Yeah.
That's a good heel gimmick.
It's a fan. Oh, so good. All right. You boys got anything else?
We talked a lot, and we got a
Yeah.
lot of good content in there. For all those
Sure
people
did.
who are new to us, you should like and subscribe because this is top quality content, ladies and gentlemen.
the tippy toppiest of quality content. Brought to you every week here. We will be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. You can follow us on the Twitter at Total Spotfest. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys giving us some of your time. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out down Total Spot Fest, I got 3 words for you. Ayuk won't help.
See you next week, guys.
Peace.
Later.